conversation on tariffs changing by the hour, it's very difficult to figure out how badly any individual company might get hit, unless they're purely domestic operators. And that's why I was thrilled when Resmed, the medical device maker focused on machines for sleep apnea, reported a solid quarter on Wednesday night. And I think more important, management said they've gotten an exemption from President Trump's not-so-reciprocal tariffs. Exemptions don't come easily, people. Their machines are made in Australia and Singapore, and they're off the hook. This stock shot up 10% on Thursday. It could have more room to run. Let's check in with Mick Farrell, the chairman and CEO of Resmed, to learn more. Mr. Farrell, welcome back to Mad Money.
Jim, it's great to be back on your show, and thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, so, Mick, could you just, I mean, people are mystified by tariffs entirely, and yours in particular, because we were told that no exemption, no exemption, no exemption. I don't know how many times President Trump said that. Can you tell me how things worked out and how this whole deal works?
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. Well, look, the history of this tariff exemption goes back for people with disabilities, and it starts in 1982 with President Ronald Reagan, who put this into place. It was reaffirmed by George H.W. Bush in 1989, actually at a global tariff conference, global trade conference in a place called Nairobi, sometimes called the Nairobi Protocol. There were some tariff issues. I don't know if you remember back in 2008, 2009, during the global financial crisis, we reaffirmed our tariff relief then with the Customs and Border Protection Agency, the CBP, and got a confirmation letter in 2009. And in this current situation, we went back just 3 weeks ago to the Customs and Border Protection under the current administration and reaffirmed that people with disabilities, which includes sleep apnea and other chronic respiratory diseases, will not be hurt by these. And they have some relief.
All right, well, I'm glad, because I think that there were a lot of people who felt that with no exemptions, there would be a shortfall, or you'd cut numbers. You didn't have to do that, and the stock went up very big. I want to talk about something. I don't know if you caught this morning's show, but I said, you know, there are people who come on Mad Money, and they say that GLP-1s mean nothing. And then as we get closer and closer to their broadest use, we find out, oh, that was not true. But you came on, and you said they actually could be positive, and I was skeptical, but I've known you long enough that I had to go with you. It's absolutely true. It actually has been working very well together, hand in hand, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, Jim, you and I talked about this, 6 months ago, 12 months ago, and we saw a dip in the stock maybe 18 months ago when there were rumors that GLP-1s would sort of be a panacea for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and sleep apnea. What we found is that, look, there is some half treatment, if you like, of sleep apnea, but the gold standard treatment is CPAP, APAP, and bilevel. And we're now tracking, we've increased the study that I talked about last time I was on your show. We're now tracking over 1 million patients with a GLP-1 prescription and a positive airway pressure device prescription. And we're seeing a 10% higher start rate, like we did before, reaffirmed with a larger group of patients, a 3% higher resupply rate at 1 year, and a 5% higher resupply rate at 2 years. So the curves actually start to separate. And as we get deeper and deeper into this, I look at it and say, well, this is part of a broader approach to care. This could be like blood pressure medicines or cholesterol medicines. I welcome this new medicine. And in their own study, the leading company in this is Eli Lilly with Zepbound, their own study showed a positive impact of GLP-1s plus CPAP therapy having a better impact, obviously, than GLP-1s alone. And so, look, this isn't just me saying it. It's the clinical data saying it. It's the science saying it. And actually now, it's the real-world evidence saying it. You saw our growth numbers on Wednesday. We were up 9% overall. Our devices were up 6% in North America, up 9% in Europe, Asia, and rest of the world. So there's no slowdown. And you look at the recurring revenue of patients on therapy, 14% growth in masks and accessories business. So we're seeing it in the science, we're seeing it in the research, we're seeing it in the business, and we're excited about the future. I can't wait to see what Apple and Samsung bring in terms of patients into the funnel with these wearables detecting sleep apnea, and what Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk bring in by bringing patients back to primary care to seek new treatment. And then the gold standard for them in OSA is CPAP, APAP, bilevel. And the number one company in the world for that is Resmed.
Now, I also think you're benefiting from a level of awareness that you didn't have. Doctors are now asking about something that, frankly, they didn't used to. Tell me about sleep. And the reason it's so big is because we've been unaware about sleep, and the GLP-1s have made us increasingly aware that the importance of it.
Oh, absolutely, Jim. Well, look, I think, our stock, as you said, went up 10% after we announced our numbers Wednesday night, went up 10% Thursday, and was pretty steady today. So why is that? I think it's because Resmed is a compelling investment. And this this noise around tariffs and GLP-1s, that Resmed has a very experienced management team. We went through the COVID crisis. I was on your show talking about ventilators this time 5 years ago. Remember that, Jim?
Yes, I do.
Then we went through the supply chain crisis, and I came back and we talked about semiconductors. Could we get any from Intel or anyone, AMD, TSMC? And then tariff relief. We were able to show that. So I think number one is Resmed's a compelling investment in a storm. We're a very steady ship. Number two, we're an innovation machine, and we're an operating excellence machine. On OPEX excellence, we improved our gross margin 140 basis points year on year this quarter. We improved it 70 basis points quarter on quarter from the December quarter to the March quarter. And in terms of innovation, we're bringing products to the market like never before. I've got a little show and tell. I know I'm not in your studio like normal, but I've got this little thing. It's called the NightOwl. This is a home sleep apnea test. Look how small it is. This is mostly packaging. This here on the end, this little blue bit, the size of my fingertip, that is a home sleep apnea test that can qualify a patient for sleep apnea therapy. So Resmed's an innovation machine, point two. Point three, this is why I think we're a compelling investment. We've got a really strong balance sheet. We're in a net cash positive position, pretty good in a market like this, and robust cash flow. We generated $1.6 billion in cash flow in the last 12 months. And just in the last quarter that we reported on Wednesday, $500 million in free cash flow.
Well, that's incredible.
So we put that back into the business in R&D and
I know you've got a buyback too.
Dividends.
Well, look, Mick, you are a truth teller. Everything you said has come true. I love that. I know you're also a person who cares passionately about individuals' health. And I always tell people that when I had a problem, I went to you. That NightOwl, by the way, would be really terrific versus what I did, and was embarrassed by it, frankly. And I no need to be embarrassed anymore. So thank you everything that you've done for everybody who have sleep problems. I really appreciate you coming on the show. That's Mick Farrell, Chairman and CEO of Resmed. Look at the performance of the stock, people. This thing is monumental. Thank you, Mick. Have a good weekend.
You too, Jim. Good to talk to you.
Mad Money back in the break.